Pramac Racing team manager Gino Borsoi believes Toprak Razgatlioglu is beginning to unlock his true MotoGP potential after the Turkish rider showed encouraging signs of progress during Yamaha's post-race test at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. Although the former world SBK champion endured another difficult Grand Prix weekend in Catalunya, the atmosphere inside the Yamaha camp was notably more optimistic after the official test session, where engineers identified clear improvements in the way Razgatlioglu is adapting to MotoGP machinery. The Turkish rider struggled throughout the Grand Prix due to low grip conditions and a demanding tyre management race, eventually finishing 16th after also being affected by a tyre pressure penalty. Despite the disappointing result on paper, Yamaha's telemetry data revealed a much more competitive picture underneath the surface. According to Borsoi, Razgatlioglu is now starting to understand the subtle but crucial riding differences required to succeed in MotoGP compared to World SBK. He is not riding badly, but he is still riding with a superbike mentality, Borsoi explained. MotoGP demands a completely different approach because of the tyres, the electronics, and the aggression of the bikes. The Pramac boss admitted that adapting riding style in the middle of a racing season is one of the hardest tasks for any rider, particularly for someone coming from another championship where the riding techniques are fundamentally different. There is not enough time to completely change your style overnight, Borsoi said. During race weekends, every rider is focused on results, but to change your riding style, you must be prepared to sacrifice lap time at first, and no rider enjoys doing that. That process of temporary regression before long-term improvement is now becoming central to Yamaha's expectations for Razgatlioglu. Borsoi believes the Turkish star has already started taking those necessary steps. Toprak has now begun that process, he said. Maybe he needs to go backwards 2 steps first before he can jump forward 4 steps once everything becomes natural. One of the most significant discoveries for Yamaha engineers came through direct comparisons between Razgatlioglu's data and that of factory Yamaha rider Fabio Quartararo. The Frenchman remains the benchmark inside the Yamaha project, and Borsoi confirmed that Toprak is slowly beginning to mirror aspects of Quartararo's riding technique through certain corners. From the telemetry, we can already see that in many corners he is starting to ride more like Quartararo, Borsoi revealed. That is very important for us because it shows he is learning. The raw pace also offered encouragement. Razgatlioglu's fastest lap in Catalunya was only 0.630 seconds slower than race winner Fabio Di Giannantonio, a gap that Yamaha considers highly respectable considering his limited MotoGP experience. Inside the garage, there is now growing belief that the adaptation curve is accelerating faster than expected. If we compare the situation to the beginning of the season, the gap is becoming smaller all the time, Borsoi added. There were moments during the race where Toprak was only half a second behind the leading group. That shows progress. The post-race Barcelona test, however, was cut short by rain, preventing Yamaha from completing its full development program. Even so, the limited running still produced encouraging technical feedback. Razgatlioglu tested a revised Yamaha chassis and immediately reported improved confidence compared to the previous version, while teammate Jack Miller evaluated updated aerodynamic wings that appeared to improve turning performance in medium-speed corners. One full day would have allowed us to test much more, Borsoi admitted, but the components we did try gave positive indications. Toprak immediately felt more comfortable with the new chassis, and Jack also found benefits from the new aero package. As a concession manufacturer, Yamaha still has significant testing freedom available under MotoGP regulations, something Borsoi believes will remain critical as the factory attempts to close the performance gap to Ducati and KTM. The Yamaha project itself is beginning to show signs of stability after several difficult seasons. Quartararo's recent competitiveness has strengthened confidence within the organization that the development direction is finally becoming clearer. This project is still evolving, Borsoi explained. Little by little we are understanding what the bike needs. Fabio's consistency recently proves that. Attention now turns toward Mugello, where Yamaha faces another difficult challenge. The Italian circuit's long straight traditionally exposes the M1's lack of top speed, meaning Yamaha may once again rely heavily on corner performance to remain competitive. I do not think Mugello will be easy for us, Borsoi admitted. The straight will obviously hurt us, but in the corners we know our bike can still compete with the others. In some areas we may even be stronger. Yamaha is also balancing current development with long-term planning for MotoGP's future 850 cubic centimeters regulations. Borsoi confirmed that further engine upgrades are expected before the end of the season, with lessons from the current 1,000 cubic centimeters program expected to carry directly into the next generation project. Meanwhile, transfer rumors linking Pramac to young Spanish rider Aysen Guevara for the future were firmly downplayed by Borsoi, who insisted the team remains fully focused on its current lineup, particularly Jack Miller's contribution inside the garage. There are still many races left, Borsoi said, and we must respect the work Jack is doing because he has been fantastic for this team. For now, however, much of the spotlight remains fixed on Razgatlioglu. The results may not yet fully reflect the progress being made, but inside Yamaha there is growing belief that the Turkish star is slowly transforming from a superbike champion into a genuine MotoGP contender. The pressure surrounding Razgatlioglu's transition has also intensified because expectations inside the paddock remain exceptionally high. Ever since the Turkish rider dominated in World SBK with his aggressive braking style and spectacular overtaking ability, many insiders believed his talent would eventually attract serious MotoGP attention. Now that the move has finally happened, every session is being closely analysed by rival teams, engineers and former riders, eager to see whether his natural instincts can truly translate to prototype machinery. What has impressed Yamaha the most is not only Toprak's raw speed, but also his willingness to completely rethink his riding habits, despite already being a world champion in another category. Riders with major success outside MotoGP sometimes struggle mentally when forced to abandon techniques that previously made them winners. According to people within the Yamaha garage, Razgatlioglu has approached the challenge with remarkable openness and determination. Several senior engineers reportedly noticed major progress in his braking release and corner entry behavior during the Barcelona test. In World SBK, Razgatlioglu often relied on extremely hard braking while physically controlling the bike on corner entry. MotoGP machinery, however, requires smoother transitions to maximize Michelin tire performance and rear grip management. Yamaha believes he is now beginning to understand those fine details. The emotional side of the adaptation process should not be underestimated either. Sources close to the team describe Razgatlioglu as both highly motivated and frustrated at the same time. While he remains excited about competing at the highest level of motorcycle racing, he is also fully aware that his current finishing positions do not yet reflect his true ability. That internal pressure has become one of the key themes of his rookie campaign. Even so, there is growing respect for him among rival MotoGP riders. Several competitors privately admitted they were surprised by how quickly Razgatlioglu has managed to reduce the performance gap despite coming directly from a very different racing environment. Some riders believe his natural racecraft could become extremely dangerous once he fully understands tyre preservation and sprint race strategy. The comparison with Quartararo is also becoming increasingly important for Yamaha's long-term future. The Frenchman has spent years adapting his riding style to compensate for weaknesses in the M1 package, particularly in acceleration and straight-line speed. If Razgatlioglu can successfully learn from Quartararo's techniques while still preserving his own aggressive instincts, Yamaha may eventually possess two riders capable of pushing the project forward simultaneously. Inside Pramac Racing, there is also recognition that the current rebuilding phase carries major importance for Yamaha's wider MotoGP MotoGP ambitions.